Hello and welcome to our show. Today is Friday, November 22nd, 2013, and we've got William Dorrity on the phone. Do you want to say hello, Bill?
Hello, everybody. I don't have your video up here yet. Just have you. There you go. Right. There we go. Oh yeah. Right at the city council. Yeah, making a point. I see you. Great.
Okay, so what's happening is William Dorrity is home in Jersey City, and he's watching us on his computer. So if you go to M&M's web page...
You have to get Google Chrome. You go to the search bar and there's have your technicians or somebody set up Google Chrome on your PC, because that's where you type in mnn.org and everything will come up. All the other ones won't work on Yahoo, won't work on Internet Explorer, but in New Jersey you need Google Chrome.
Do you want to put Jason through?
Yes, sir.
I see Jason there. Jason on?
Yeah, I'm here too.
Jason, are you watching us on your computer also in Jersey City?
Yes, I am. I'm doing your viewing.
Okay, so we're doing a field test, and what we want to do is make sure that if you're in Jersey City, or you happen to be in Florida, like my mother is, or you're anyone of friends and family or part of our Citizens Action Group to take back our country, you can watch us on mnn.org, and you go to Community Channel 1.
Google Chrome.
Bill is telling you make sure you get Google Chrome so the video comes through. And you go to Community Channel 1, you click Watch Now. And the photograph
mnn.org, right. Go ahead.
Okay. And the photograph I have is that's William Dorrity addressing the city council in his very fine black suit. And we also have Mr. Jayson Burg, who's going to find that a plum opportunity is going to drop in his lap. Now, and in the lap of every independent, every Democratic rival, every Republican rival to Mayor Fulop. In my hands right here is irrefutable evidence that I reviewed with a city council member this week. This is irrefutable evidence that Mayor Steve Fulop had in his hands of very serious crimes that were committed against me. And not only did he passively go along with these crimes, but he actively helped, aided, and abetted. He actively lied to the police. Pam Andes, also in Jersey City, actively lied to the police. John Thuroff, who was Mr. Fulop's, Mayor Fulop's campaign manager, actively lied to the police. So the last half an hour of the show, I'm going to show you how I sat down with a city council member and went through irrefutable evidence that Mayor Steve Fulop had while he was my city council member, and how he aided and abetted criminal conduct towards me that's so bad that irrefutably demonstrates moral turpitude. And what moral turpitude is the lack of honesty, fair dealing, integrity, a lack of generally accepted good morals that will have Mr. Fulop removed from office. So this is a phenomenal opportunity for every Democratic rival, every Republican rival, every independent rival, and 13,000 people in Jersey City who did not vote for Steve Fulop to have a new election where that might actually be fair. So that's pretty good, huh, Jason?
Yeah, it's true. Are you going to give the name of that council person that you spoke to later on?
I will, and I also have my notes where I asked him to do a little checking. And so I have my handwritten notes, and I have irrefutable evidence of this meeting. We're going to a city council meeting on Tuesday, and he's supposed to respond to some of my requests. So I'm going to get to that. But this is phenomenal. Like, we can take our country back. We can take our city government back. So the argument, for example, that someone like Dan Levin was making was that Mr. Fulop was backed by big money interests. They gave him about $800,000 to run his propaganda campaign. And now he's giving the town away. He's giving away these incredibly lucrative deals where his backers are making millions, if not tens of millions, and they're laughing at the people in Jersey City. So this is an opportunity to get rid of corrupt government. We are going to Governor Christie with this, because when we have to remove the mayor of Jersey City, and Jersey City is, I believe, the second largest city in the state of New Jersey. When we have to remove, is that correct?
Correct. New York is number one.
So when we have to remove our mayor because he for moral turpitude, and some of the other members of the city council for moral turpitude, this is huge. This is us taking our country back. So in the words of Mr. Mikey Weinstein of Military Religious Freedom Foundation, who I swear to God must be lighting candles in the synagogue to have me dead. Yes, Mr. Weinstein, we are in the battlefield. The smoke is in our eyes. The blood is in our eyes. It's my blood. I paid for this election. I paid for this opportunity, and I paid in blood, and I paid in my blood. And I may not live to see this election, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this evidence out there so no one can stop it. So even if I get killed, which by the way is a good possibility, Jayson can still go forward with this. I spoke to Jayson and Bill before our show. There is a citizens initiative that is duly formatted, duly constituted by law. They opened up an investigation about 3 hours ago. I'm handing them affidavits because I might not live long enough to see this election. Why? Because, and I'm going to spend about 20 minutes putting the facts out there, because one of the leaders of this movement I spoke to today, he's asking me for affidavits. He's opening up an investigation. He is getting involved because the Albert Einstein College of Medicine recruits students, faculty, staff nationally and internationally. So he has jurisdiction. I'm going to cut to the chase really fast, and then you guys can ask me some questions if you want. But I'm living in fear of my life right now. Why? Because there is a no contact order. This is a no, let me just get through some of the highlights. There is a order of protection that covers me. And I'm staying temporarily with a woman in Brooklyn while I litigate to get my apartment back. Now, I should not have to be put through 2.5 years of litigation, because when I got out of Rikers Island, remember, I was incarcerated illegally. Let me give the 2-minute overview. Some of the criticism that I got from MNN was, give us like a 2-minute overview. My life is being destroyed because I went to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. I was persecuted and used in criminal schemes. I managed to collect enough evidence to show that this school is an organized criminal entity. And it's very important now because there are 34 former students of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine who are suing now in the Southern District of New York for physical and sexual abuse going back decades. And I laid a foundation in the Southern District of New York that shows that these are not a few bad apples at Yeshiva University that are hurting students. But in fact, this is a pattern and a practice of widespread abuse. So the students who are suing now can build their cases on my foundation, because I am the rock. I am the foundation on which they are building their cases. I was also the rock and the foundation on which other students from my medical school in the Yeshiva Victims Group were building their cases. So if you get rid of me, then a lot of the evidence goes away. Now, Jayson, you called federal court, and Bill, you were in federal court with me this past week, where the city attorney.
I just want to get a little thing on that. When I closed up.
Wait, before you comment, Jayson, we were in federal court. This is the scheme, okay? We're in federal court. Destroy the evidence, get rid of the witnesses, even if you have to murder them, and rewrite history. So I was in federal court like a week ago. William Dorrity was in the courtroom with me, as were other people, and the City of New York's attorneys, this is dishonest attorney Carolyn E. Crook, is asking a federal judge to order me to destroy videotapes and audio tapes because she wants the evidence destroyed. And the judge said no. When you called to protest, didn't you, Jason, to say no, we're not.
Yes, I called the first judge that was in your case, and I was told that I couldn't do anything about it, and I had to go to someone else. I went to a higher order judge of the entire area, the supervisor, and I was told by his person that I had to talk to the judge where the case was. And I asked for an order of protection. The third time I called, I left a message with all my information. So I was adamantly to do what was necessary to protect my life, protest this craziness we call the legitimate system, which is totally corrupt. Support yourself under illicit, and no way under God that you can, as a person, request any evidence to be destroyed, because it is the future of other cases that are depending on your case that is now pending. So they are, it's like John F. Kennedy's brain is missing. Where is it?
Okay, you're coming in a little garbled, Jason. So if you're walking around, don't walk around. Just try to find a sweet spot.
Here, I'm sorry. You should have said something.
No, you're good now. You're good now.
I was on speakerphone. But what I'm trying to say, basically, folks, is that there's no way, even in the rules of federal law, you can never destroy evidence. So here is a prosecutor saying, oh, I got to get rid of this. And that's a 20-year sentence for violating her oath of office.
Yeah, he called Judge Chen, and he also called the chief judge, Judge Carol Bagley Ammon, and we all said, I'm not destroying evidence. Now, as little as 3 hours ago, I talked to Anthony Barossi. Anthony Barossi is a paralegal at the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, and he lied. And I told him, Mr. Barossi, I'm audio taping this conversation I'm having with you, and he claimed I was committing a crime. It is not a crime for me to audio tape my telephone conversations for the accuracy of my records. New York and New Jersey are one-party states. I have every right, and it would be stupid if I didn't. It's perfectly legal and kosher for me to audio tape my conversations, particularly when I'm dealing with this kind of criminal gang. But when Anthony Barossi of the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office tells me I'm committing a crime when I'm not, he lied. And this is not the only lie this gentleman has told. And I'm using the term gentleman loosely. So, go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing. He's never a gentleman.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what the audience needs to know. In New York and New Jersey, and in most states are one-party states. So when you're dealing with a criminal gang like I am, it would be prudent to get yourself a life-saving device, like the Olympic tape recorder. So if I'm audio taping, if I'm having a conversation with Anthony Barossi, and he's making notes and I'm making notes, for the accuracy of my records, and the two of us are having a telephone conversation, and I decide to audio tape it because the audio tape is a more accurate record, I am not committing a crime. But for Mr. Anthony Barossi to lie to me and tell me that I am, he's dishonest. If Mr. Anthony Barossi decides to audio tape our telephone conversation for the accuracy of his records, he can do that. The only time it's illegal is if a third party, someone who is not party to our telephone conversation, is either listening in or audio taping without a court order. That's a crime. So I have committed no crime, and what Mr. Anthony Barossi doesn't want to come to light is that I cannot depend on the police department to protect me because Detective Cologne at the 34th Precinct lied on the witness stand to illegally convict and illegally incarcerate me because he was doing Yeshiva University's dirty work. Now, my problems in my life started when I was fraudulently induced into enrolling and becoming a student at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. And because I was used in criminal schemes, I'm being persecuted through life. That persecution got so serious in Jersey City that I was almost murdered. So the people who are responsible for premeditated attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder will do anything they possibly can to try to weasel out, but they're not. They're going to be prosecuted. So after I get out of Rikers, there's a very nice lady in Brooklyn who offered me some temporary shelter, which I accepted, and I thought I'd get my apartment back in a few weeks or a few months. But I had 6 police officers at the 34th precinct in Washington Heights that refused to follow the parole officer's guide, and this includes a desk sergeant. So they had a choice when I called them over a 2-day period and said, look, I either get the keys to my apartment or you arrest my roommate, Dan Caro. Those were their only choices. They refused to uphold the law, okay? What they wanted to do was put my case into the hands of a judge, Judge Brenda Spears, so that she could make up or fabricate a ruling, because the goal is to get rid of Lidya Radin. Because if I'm in Washington Heights and I'm in Manhattan and I'm giving up this evidence, Yeshiva University is facing very serious civil and criminal prosecution. So I cannot depend on the local police to protect me, because they demonstrate every way they possibly can that they will not uphold the law to protect me. Now, while I'm staying with this nice lady, she has an order of protection against a family member. That order of protection covers me, and we're going to look at this. Now, her family member happens to, so you know what, we're going to look at this really fast, because I put this into the Federal Bureau of Investigation, okay? So I made this complaint, and what has been happening, if you focus down here for a minute. Sorry. Okay. Right here is where I had the officer at 26 Federal Plaza, which is the Manhattan Bureau of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I had the front desk person sign and date this, because I did, as I was instructed, I put in this public corruptions complaint. And I was threatened with physical violence by Maria Povinetti. Maria Povinetti is involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital, Kingsburg Psychiatric Hospital. She escaped in late May, early June, and the district attorney's office, if you come back to me, the Brooklyn district attorney, Mr. Charles Hines, did not want anyone to know, as a public safety issue, how unsafe you are, because he was in a hotly contested election and a primary, and he didn't want to lose. So the district attorney's office, Charles Hines, did not want anybody to know that when you have a person who, like Maria Povinetti, who pleaded guilty to beating up her mom and spent 2 years in prison and then another year in Kingsborough Psychiatric Hospital, she escaped. Okay, so you've got this involuntarily committed person, and it's easy for them to just to walk away, which is what Maria Povinetti did. And she came to the apartment where her mother lives. I got a phone call from the district attorney's office. I go running down there, and in violation of the order of protection that her mother has, Maria went to the apartment. I tried to talk to her and say, you've done a very foolish thing. I suggest that you turn yourself in. Instead, she tried to coerce me and her mom to lying about her whereabouts. I am staying with her mom temporarily. Like I said, I shouldn't have to. I should not have to bother my pro bono attorney to litigate for going on 2 years now. I should not have to go through this long litigation process. I should not have to deal with judges. The threat that was made against me was no matter, and it was also made, the threat was made to my family. Doesn't matter, and this comes directly from Yeshiva University. Doesn't matter what lawyer she goes to. It doesn't matter what judge she goes to. We're going to be there, and we're going to make sure she gets nowhere. So to make good on their threats, I've got Judge Brenda Spears in landlord-tenant court, who fabricated, wholesale made up a ruling, to give me a hard time, and I won that appeal. And now I'm going into another litigation where a lot of this is going to come out, because the judge is asking, how come you didn't come to me right away? Well, I was a little bit concerned with not getting beaten up by a woman who threatened me with physical violence after she escaped from Kingsborough Psychiatric. The district attorney's office, the Brooklyn district attorney's office, does not want the general public to know how unsafe you really are. Now, this order of protection was renewed against Maria Povenetti, and if you look down here, okay, it was renewed. This is the second one that was handed to me by her mom in April of 2011. It's not being revoked, and it's good until April 24th, 2022. And there's a couple of different things that are of concern. One of the things that are of concern, it says, no third-party contact. Well, let me get a pen. Yeah, right here. No third-party contact. So Maria Povenetti will send people to the apartment, like this woman Nancy Bronstein, to threaten to beat me up. It says that Maria Povenetti should surrender a shotgun or a rifle she might have access to. Are you kidding me? This woman has access to firearms? And the excuse that I'm being told here, this is Judge Demick. I did put, we're going to look at the papers I gave to Judge Demick. I said, look, nobody's against Maria. In fact, I tried to reason with her and say, listen, Maria, just try to control yourself, obey the order of protection, and, you can take baby steps to getting where you need to be. Now, we need to look at this because they're claiming that this order of protection doesn't apply to me. In fact, it does, because it's for Etelvina Povenetti, that's her mom, and it says to stay away from the protected person's home, school, business, refrain from any communication by phone, email, voicemail, other electronic, or any other means. And it's refrain from all these criminal conduct against the protected person and members of the protected person's family or household. Now, this order of protection, do you see that, Jason?
Household, in that household, and if they're not doing their job, that is really atrocious. That's repugnant. That's totally...
Zoom in on it.
Indictable.
Yeah, this is a crime. I am covered under this order of protection because it's to refrain from, you can go back a little. It's,
the word household.
Right.
Anyone in the house is part of the unit living there at that address. And you have the order of protection versed in that document. If they're not doing
zoom in on it.
I personally think you should go to the newspapers and
blow I want that in.
Blow them out, because even the news is always looking for corruption. I mean, this is outright craziness.
Yeah, and I get all kinds of so I'm covered as a member of the protected person Etelvina's household. So they're supposed to refrain from assault, stalking, harassment, aggravated harassment, menacing, reckless endangerment, disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, sexual abuse, misconduct, sexual misconduct, forcible touching, intimidation, threats, or any criminal offense against the protected person or a member of their household. So when Maria Povenetti sends a person, a third-party contact like Nancy Bronstein, to the apartment to threaten to beat me up, and I have a videotape of this menacing behavior where she's, waving her fist at me, and I contact the local police, and the police will not enforce this, and I contact Judge Demick, and I put papers into the court, and I say, this order of protection protects me as a member of this person's household, and I've been threatened.
You were in the household. When did this event occur?
Well,
as a date stamp.
The violations of the order of protection are continuous. In fact, Etelvina Povenetti gave me her cell phone. This is her cell phone. I got it for her for free. And as recently as November 13th, 2013, Maria Povenetti calls and leaves messages saying, revoke the order of protection. Now, here's the thing. Her mother is 83 years old. She's not in the best frame of mind. She's not in the best health. And if anything happens to her, like if Maria comes home and, Maria wants money, and if her mother won't give her money, then she beats her up. If anything happens to this little 83-year-old lady, I guarantee you Maria Povenetti's brother, named Mark Povenetti, is a paralegal. He works for a law firm. He will sue the hell out of the city, okay? He'll probably use me as a witness, okay? So this is an order of protection. Now, we tried reasoning with Maria, and there's no reasoning with her, but what's really very frightening is when I contacted the hospital, what I discovered, and again, what I discovered was the person in charge of her care, hang on to your hat now, the person who's ultimately responsible is the clinical director of the hospital. His name is Jeffrey Lucy. Jeffrey Lucy, are you ready for this, audience? Happens to be on the faculty of the medical school that I'm suing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, can we get a close-up of this? Okay, you can take the stills off. Okay, Jeffrey Lucy, MD, you got to get in closer, is, you got to get to the assistant clinical professor at the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences. Okay, so the guy who's the clinical director of Kingsborough is this guy named Lucy. He happens to be on the faculty of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, okay? This over here, this is Todd Olson. I'm not sure you can see it real well. Right here. This is Todd Olson, the anatomy professor who threatened me and acted on his threats. So the people who are responsible right now for the psychiatric hospital where Maria Povinetti is involuntarily committed, the person responsible is this guy named Jeffrey Lucy. Jeffrey Lucy has this huge conflict of interest because he's on the faculty of my medical school. Okay, I'm a witness against my medical school. Now, I mean, you couldn't. I'm giving this to Judge Demick. I'm giving this to the FBI. I'm like, are you kidding me? Maria Povinetti is talked about by her family as if she were a weapon. Like when she gets out, she's going to beat you up. Okay, if you beat me up, you're probably going to leave me paralyzed or dead because I have very serious spinal injuries. Now, there's no question that I have very serious spinal injuries because the federal judges, everybody involved, already has the reports from my neurologist. You know, I have a compromised spine. So, you know, this is really frightening. Now, I've got audio tape conversations of me and Dr. Lucy and me and Dr. Greenstein. Wait till you see this. Oh, you got to focus in on this too. This is unbelievable. Okay, Dr. Lucy is responsible for the attack dog. Maria Povinetti is not talked about as if she was a human being. She's talked about as if she's an attack dog, and she can't control herself. She has no impulse control. She continually violates the order of protection. She mailed me a threatening letter. She incessantly calls her mother on the phone. We tried reasoning with her. There's no reasoning with her. She escaped from a psychiatric hospital. She wasn't prosecuted as if she had committed a crime, which is contempt of court, contempt of a judge's order. She was just, there's no record of this at all. It wasn't treated as if it was the criminal offense that it was. And nobody's trying to hurt Maria. We're just trying to say, Maria, if you could demonstrate to the judges and to the doctors involved that you can control yourself, and if you want to see your mom, I'll be happy to bring your mom down to the hospital. You can see her in a supervised visit. But if they let this woman go like the attack dog she is, what they want her to do is come to the apartment, violate the order of protection, beat me up. They'll arrest everybody. They'll put everybody in jail. And what they really want is to destabilize the situation so badly that my audio tapes and my videotapes and my documentary evidence and all the other evidence that I'm presenting right now to have Mr. Fulop removed from office in Jersey City, they want this destroyed.
Lydia,
go ahead.
Here's a thought. Now, if this has happened recently, this order of protection goes back to 2000 and whatever date, and it's still in effect to that time. Where are the police trying to find this crazy lady? She's a detriment to the community. She can go out and go wild on any stranger. I mean, she's animally angry at her mother, focusing on that anger. But my question is, if she was being taken care of, what is the point of her? Where is the anger coming from? And she's been mistreated by the doctor, and he needs to have his license removed for his insanity.
Well, what I'm really afraid of is, if Maria Povenetti is released from, she's calling her mother saying, revoke the order of protection, you're violating the order of protection with phone calls. If her mother is too afraid to speak out, I'm speaking out. I'm saying this woman escaped from a psychiatric hospital. She made a beeline for the apartment in violation of the order of protection. I get a phone call from the district attorney's office. I go in. I try to reason with Maria. Maria, what you've done is very foolish. Turn yourself in, and it'll mitigate some of the actions that can be taken against you. She didn't do any of that. She tried to coerce me and her mom into lying about her whereabouts. When the police officers came to arrest her, she hid in a back room. She's telling Judge Demick, and she's telling the psychiatrists involved, every way she possibly can, that she cannot and will not control herself. So when she threatens to beat me up, she's threatening me with death. When she threatens, her mom, she's threatening her mom. Now, if they release her from this hospital, and when she's showing them over and over and over again that she has no impulse control, that she will not control herself, it's very frightening. The police will not protect me. The police are lying on the witness stand to put me in Rikers to do Yeshiva University's dirty work. The police, 6 police officers, over the course of 2 days, and a desk sergeant who is expected to know about her, refused to uphold the law. This is how Palestinians live. If you are a Gentile in Israel and you commit a crime against a Jew, the law is enforced. But if an Orthodox Jew or an Israeli commits a crime against a Gentile in Palestine, the law is not enforced. So when I talk to Mr. Mikey Weinstein and I send my letter into the White House and I say we live like Palestinians in the United States, I'm showing you that we do. So and wait till you see the Israeli connection here, because zoom in on, this is Miss Dr. Lucy, who's responsible. He's responsible for, of course you want to get rid of me. No, stay here for a minute. Of course you want to get rid of me, because I laid a foundation in the Southern District, New York, and federal court to show that it's not just a few bad apples at Yeshiva University. This whole school participates in crime. Yeshiva University is a criminal organization that uses religion as a cover. And if you zoom in on Dr. Lucy's education and training, okay, he did his residency at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. That's Jacobi Hospital. Okay, my life is in the hands of my enemies. This is really scary. And wait till you see the Israeli connection. Oh my goodness! And I talked to one of the leaders of the citizens group. Okay, I have audio taped conversations with Dr. Greenstein. This is Dr. Greenstein, who's also responsible for her care. And he went to medical school in Tel Aviv. And where does he do his residency? The Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Okay? So when they're running around claiming I'm a terrorist, this is the Israeli connection. This is the worst thing that an Israeli can think to say to someone. You're a terrorist, you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist. That's where all this is coming from. Now, Dr. Greenstein doesn't like the fact that I audio taped his conversation and that I told him, Dr. Greenstein, today, less than 4 hours ago, today, Dr. Greenstein, on your cell phone, if Maria Povenetti is released from the hospital, she makes a beeline for the apartment. If I'm injured or her mother is injured, if I'm murdered or her mother is murdered, if my peace of mind is interfered with or her mother's peace of mind is interfered with, her family can and will hold you responsible, criminally and civilly responsible. And he said, yes, I understand that. So he has no plausible deniability. Neither does Dr. Lucy. Okay? And I told the leader of the citizens group that's starting an investigation, and they're starting it today. I'm giving them affidavits. They will be making phone calls. They will be opening an investigation. They can do this. They can criminally indict these people. If anything happens to me, I told them today I would go live on my TV show. I would get through some of the main points. I would put it up on YouTube. And if anything happens to me, my cases will go forward in the name of my estate. If anything happens to Etelvina Povenetti, her son, Mark Povenetti, who's a paralegal, will make sure that he sues the hell out of you with his law firm for having something happen to his mother, because The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office will not enforce the order of protection, and you cannot expect a little 83-year-old lady, who, by the way, has a little bit of a drinking problem, to stand up. She's scared. That's why she's drinking. Okay, she's frightened. All right, and by the way, I happen to be lawfully in this apartment because I'm standing up to the big bad landlord who's who as a predator is circling over this little drama. This is Mr. Polinsky, because little Etelvina Povanetti has a rent-stabilized apartment that she's lived in for years, and she pays a very low rent. So the predatory landlord is figuring out any way he can get rid of us. And we had to go to court. Bill, you were there. We had to go to court.
I was there.
Right. We had to go to court with her like over 18 times in a year to stop the big bad landlord. And at the end of the day, after we called her family, called her congregation, called her friends, I'm the one that wound up paying her back rent. And I'm the one that loans her money. So I am in the apartment legally. Legally, she's allowed to have a roommate. I'm it. And in open court, in front of witnesses, and with little Etelvina Povanetti's court-appointed lawyer, I paid the back rent, a portion of the back rent that was due and owing, in full, in cash. So when they say, oh, your check was returned to you, oh, that was late. That was before that. After that, we had to go to court again when her landlord tried to have her evicted. And in open court, in cash, in front of her court-appointed guardian attorney, in front of the judge, in front of witnesses, I had to hand the landlord's attorney cash. It's on the record. Okay, so I'm a roommate. I'm there legally. And the order of protection covers me and this little old lady. Now, nobody's trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to make sure she doesn't get evicted because her landlord is predatory. And my medical school is predatory. And my life is in the hands of my enemies. Don't tell me I don't know what it's like to live in Israel.
Or any dictatorship, or even here in our own country, it's becoming a dictatorship.
Yeah. And what's really scary is when people this is very insightful on your part, Jason, because what's very frightening is when the citizens in America have to audio tape and videotape and collect up this kind of evidence. This is how East Germany fell, when 1/3 of the population is busy informing on 2/3 of the population. You're not creating new business. You're not doing economic activity that supports the government. So America is rapidly becoming, if not already, like East Germany, like a police state.
It's become a police state.
Yep, that's it. We're a police state. And for what reason are we a police state? Because we support the interests of Israel. Now, here's where I'm going to get in trouble. I'm writing a book, U.S. Domestic Policy and the Israeli Lobby. And there was already a book written, the Israeli U.S. Foreign Policy and the Israeli Lobby. And I was talking to one of the professors before they drop-kicked me into Rikers about my book, because it's a natural sequel to his book. And the Israeli lobby doesn't like what I have to say because Richard Nixon faced this same problem. In his generation, he had communists in America. They would call foreign governments and ask foreign governments what they could do to manipulate the American government for the interests of other nations. That's subversive, it's illegal, and those people can be removed from America. There is no difference than when the Israeli lobby, like the American Jewish Committee, and I went down there to double check, calls up the Israeli government and says, how do we manipulate the American government for the interests of Israel? It's subversive, and those people can be removed. They want me to shut up for lots of reasons. So, that's my PhD thesis, which we'll get to later. Jason, I'm going to put into your hands now all the a lot of the information that you need to have Mr. Fulop removed from office for moral turpitude. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready for that to be placed in my hands so I could apply it to his removal.
Okay, so when Mr. Fulop was my city councilman, I sat down with him. I had face-to-face meetings with him. And when Pam Andes runs around and says she's being terrorized, she does not live the definition of the statutes that cover terrorism. They talk about how citizens live in fear of serious bodily injury. Pam Andes does not live in fear of serious bodily injury. Lydia Radin lives in fear of serious bodily injury. There's a phone call. Do you want to grab it? There's a phone call. This is probably Ben calling in. So let's see who's calling.
CrookedDoctors, may I ask who's calling?
Let's see who's calling in.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Marcy Kemp.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to put you through. Stand by.
Let's see if we got a comment. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I was just wondering. I tuned in late. What kind of degree do you have from yeshiva, or you mentioned being you keep referring to it as your medical school. Did you actually go to medical school there?
Yes, I did. I'm an honors graduate of Columbia University. I have an honors degree in biological sciences. I was accepted to 3 medical schools. I attended the Albert Einstein College of Medicine for 2 years. I did not graduate. I was illegally expelled in violation of my civil rights. I was required to stand in a hallway while in a meeting room my professors gave false unsworn testimony against me. I was not the only student they did this to. They did this to other students who contacted me. The attorney for the school swore, Dan Rizal swore in federal court that I got 2 hearings, and about 5 years later, after I challenged him, he was forced to admit that he didn't know whether I got a hearing or not. In another student's case, we got the school to admit that at this medical school, there was an Orthodox Jewish woman who called me and asked me for help. I said, you didn't get a hearing because you were subjected to student discipline, and the school admitted in federal court that you could not cross-examine your accusers. Well, if you don't have the ability to cross-examine your accusers, you do not have a hearing. Now, I was expelled because I refused to sign a contract releasing my medical school from liability in my case. When I was a medical school student, I inhaled blood, got seriously ill, and could not, physically ill, could not access medical care without violating my right to privacy, because my anatomy professor, Todd Olson, is a pervert, and he violates your right to privacy. If you try to access medical care, all visits, anytime you try to access medical care, it's reported to Todd Olson. So I'm like, who the heck is Todd Olson? If I ask for an AIDS test, some PhD in anatomy gets to hear about it. That's, if I ask for birth control, if I ask for a pregnancy test, this is discriminating wholesale against female students. I have the right to privacy in consultation with my physician. That doctor-patient relationship is sacrosanct, and how dare Todd Olson, my anatomy professor, violate my right to privacy with my doctor. And had I had those protections, I probably would not have gotten, this is the kindler, gentler medical school, the place where women do well, where your professors act like perverts and interfere with your right to privacy and your health care.
Did you ever think then, afterward, I'm going somewhere else, or continuing on with a different
thank you for bringing that up. Yes, because the first thing we did when we went down there with my attorney, and I said, listen, I had worked for Senator Moynihan's office. They were trying to help me. I said, listen, I'll go to another medical school way out of town. I'll forget you people exist. Just please leave me alone. They were trying to get me into another medical school that had accepted me the first time around. But this school is predatory. They're sick. Martin Bachstein is their attorney. They can't let go. So finally, I couldn't get into another medical school. After about 5 or 6 years, I put together the shattered pieces of my life. I started having a successful business career. They couldn't tolerate the fact that I would be, happy, productive, successful. They had told these lies, and the lies that they were telling about me were undermined by my success in life, and they couldn't tolerate it. These people are profoundly disturbed. They cannot let go. And I'm being personal.
I wonder, so if that can be a two-way street, right? If they don't want to let go, but you also don't want to let go. It kind of sounds just a little bit like maybe,
I'm not, because
because you seem to be able to draw all these connections and conspiracies. That granted, there are obvious coincidences. I mean, maybe somebody's a professor here that also was at doing this or doing that, and that's connected to this or that, and they also happen to be a member of this or that. But why would all those people be so focused entirely on you and your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you be that important to all of these people and all of these organizations, including the police and the university?
Because the bottom line is, if you can, for example, they want me to pay $61,000 for classes I never took, and once the school commits fraud in the administration of federal student loans, it loses its ability to administer these programs forever. I was fraudulently induced into entering this school, and they stipulated to this at criminal trial. This is not me making things up or being paranoid. The school agreed, and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office agreed that they promised to support student research 100%. They did not support mine. My records at the school have been falsified. They falsified records to outside institutions. They're coming after me to pay for classes I never took. There's no way for me to go forward with my life. In Jersey City, I'm going to show you 3 documents right here. They were in contact with the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I was threatened. Shut up about Yeshiva University, or we will lie about you. We'll tell lies going back 20 years, and they acted on those threats. These are profoundly disturbed individuals. They didn't just do this to me. They did this to Dr. Garg. They did this to Heidi Weissman. They did this to Diane Persky. They did it to John Kokasey. I mean, stop me any time here. They didn't just steal money from me in a federal student loan program. They did it to Mike Tyberg while I was a student at their
Are those people, too, also either suing or pursuing this?
Thanks for that question. Diane Persky sued Yeshiva University successfully for religious discrimination. She was at the Stern College for Women. I believe she was an associate dean, and she was told that she wasn't orthodox enough. She is a conservative Jewish woman, and she was told she wasn't orthodox enough. They railroaded out her school, and they destroyed her career, and she sued them for religious discrimination. Heidi Weissman had her career destroyed.
Did any of those people win the suit?
Yes, Heidi Weissman. Okay. Heidi Weissman won. Diane Persky won. John Kokasey was a resident. I knew him because I worked with him at Long Island Jewish Medical Center. And when he was a resident at Jacobi Hospital, the chairman of his department was selling non-FDA approved drugs to desperately ill people. And when the government found out and came to investigate, the residents, according to John Kokasey, were gathered together in the chairman's office, and the chairman of the department said to them, "Here's the lie we're going to tell." And John Kokasey, according to him, stood up and said, "I'm not lying." The next thing you knew, his career was over. He was being railroaded out. It was a nightmare. He fought back. He managed to get one well-established person to weigh in, throw his weight around, and he managed to get himself reinstated, and he went on to do a second residency, which was where I met him at Long Island Jewish Medical Center. And he came over to me one day and said, "You're not the only person who's been threatened at this institution." So, I mean, if I had to live my life over again, what I asked for was, give me my records, give me my letters of recommendation, leave me alone. I want to get on with my life. You have my career. I mean, how much can you people take from me? They won't stop. I mean, when I have to go into criminal court, ask for my letters of recommendation and my performance evaluation, because those are data points on a timeline that protect me from these people. And you should see the evidence tampering, the obstruction of justice. When I have to call my professor from like over 20 years ago and have him provide me with replacement letters of recommendation, I'm being called a terrorist. These people physically assaulted me. Let me show you the documents that I gave to, you can take the stills off. I'm in Jersey City, and I'm fighting back against these people are in contact with the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. This is one document that was given to Steve Fulop. Now, this is Judge Fast had ruled against me in early September 2008. This entire ruling is garbage, okay? And I can go into all kinds of details about what Judge Fast did in landlord-tenant court while this ruling against me in early September is complete nonsense. But I don't have to, because a few weeks later, and this is in late September of 2008, and I wrote some notes. This is in federal court right now. My landlords cashed my rent payments. They cashed about 4 or 5 of these money orders. See, it says Ralph Pagnozzi. And, okay, so my landlords, there was no eviction on October 1st, 2008. Judge Fast rules against me in early September 2008. These people are in contact with my medical school. They're doing everything they can to discredit me. They're trying to discredit me because a lot of these issues are coming out in landlord-tenant court because my medical school has made it impossible for me to get another apartment to go on with my life. So Judge Fast rules against me in late September of 2008. A few weeks later, my landlords cashed my rent payments. So what they've done is they've accepted me as a legal tenant and waived all previous action against me as part of post-judgment relief. So I do not need to appeal that stupid decision, okay, because my landlords accepted me as a tenant. Now, I was in landlord-tenant court on Thursday, September 25th, 2008, and I'm showing this this cashed money order to Judge Fast. And remember, Steve Fulop has all this. And what does Judge Fast do? Judge Fast falsified this document, okay? This is a document that says it's an order for orderly removal. I didn't ask for an orderly removal, okay? What this is saying is, oh yeah, I'm gonna move out, I accept the judgment. No, I didn't. I went to Judge Fast on Thursday, September 25th, 2008, and I said, Judge Fast, my landlords have cashed my rent payments. They've accepted me as a legal tenant. As part of post-judgment relief, they've waived all previous action against me, including your stupid, bogus judgment, which I don't have to deal with. And I've got several of these. I'm showing you one. And Judge Fast falsified this document. So Judge Fast has committed a crime. Okay, this is a very serious crime, and I've discussed this with our citizens group that can criminally indict Judge Fast for this. When a judge knowingly, intentionally falsifies a court document, he has committed a federal crime. I never
20
asked.
years in prison.
Thank you. And we're going to indict him. Now, there's some interesting parts of this, okay? So if you can zoom in on this a little bit, not only did Judge Fast falsify this, but he claimed that I was in court. You can barely see it, but he claimed that I was in court on September 24th. I was not in court on September 24th. I was in court on September 25th, 2008, and he stopped all action against me until October 2nd, 2008, okay? So he falsified the date. He falsified this order for orderly removal, and what he's saying is, okay, we're going to stop all eviction proceedings, and she's going to leave on October 2nd, 2008. That wasn't true. I was living in the apartment till October 22nd, 2008. And the reason why this is important is because when a judge like Judge Fast falsifies a court document like this, he's committed a crime. The action that was taken against Judge Fast was to move him from Jersey City to Newark. Okay, that's not the action that the state government is supposed to take. When you've got a judge like Judge Fast who's falsifying court documents to hurt an innocent person like me, you disbar him, you take him off the bench, and you criminally prosecute him. And I already have admissions in Jersey City that my case needs to be reopened. So Judge Fast is, I'm sorry? Judge Fast is no different than a pedophile priest that we move from congregation to congregation to congregation so he can find more victims. Who had this evidence? Mayor Steve Fulop. And what did he do about it? Now I sat down this past week and showed this, not only this information, but...
Who was it with? Who did you sit down with?
I sat down with City Councilman Rivera. And I have irrefutable. Okay, and wait, it gets worse because you're seeing a document here. Let me just get to another litigation point. And I discussed this with City Councilman Rivera. Okay, so this is saying that all action against me is stopped till October 2nd, 2008. So when Jersey City Medical Center claimed that I was being evicted on October 1st, 2008, they lied. Everybody knew that they were lying because I was in court with my landlords and their attorneys. come to me a little bit. So when Jersey City Medical Center jumped me to commit the crime of false imprisonment against me, stick me in their psych ward for 3 or 4 days so they could falsify a bunch of records. Okay, they committed the crime of aggravated assault and false imprisonment. I had to
What
go.
What did they say they put you in the hospital for?
They had they claimed that I violated a no contact order, but I didn't.
Oh.
Okay, so there's no reason to put me in the hospital. They kept up making up lies after lies after lies. We have the right to hold you based on history at the hospital. The history at the hospital is fraud. And I keep pointing out examples of fraud to the FBI. One thing that Jersey City Medical Center said was that I was being evicted on October 1st, 2008. That's not true. You've got this court record that I was not being evicted on October 1st, 2008. And what this came down to was I had won against my landlords. I won 3 frivolous evictions. Now, I'm going to Washington during this period of time, and I'm talking about Yeshiva University. If I had a job, I would be harassed out of my job. If I had an apartment, they would harass me out of my apartment, which they tried to do. But the crimes against me in Jersey City are way beyond stalking and harassment. These people almost murdered me. It's premeditated, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder, because they had me physically assaulted while everybody involved knew that I was trying to recover from spinal injuries. Physically assaulting a person with a compromised spine, and afterwards I vomited. After the assault at Jersey City Medical Center, I vomited. That's indicative of stimulating the gag reflex, which is indicative of bleeding in my brain. These people almost murdered me. I have serious bodily injury. I will be in pain for the rest of my life. I will probably have degenerate spinal disease for the rest of my life. And all this came down to was, and again, this document was showed to Steve Fulop and to City Councilman Rivera. This is a letter that was sent to me by Nino Falcone. This was the attorney that was hired by my landlords. And in 2007, he threatens me. I called him a dishonest attorney, and he mails me this letter, and he says, "You should be very concerned about the reference to me as a dishonest attorney, for it is a slanderous and liable statement that's going to cost you." Well, what is it going to cost me? You know, time, energy, money, serious bodily injury, my life. So Nino Falcone threatens me in writing, and he acted on his threats. He called Jersey City Medical Center, and he lied to them, and he told them that I was being evicted on October 1st, 2008. That wasn't true. And when I went down to Jersey City Medical Center and said, "Please stop it, please leave me alone," I won against my landlords. This is the 4th frivolous eviction. They cashed my rent payments. I also won a judgment against them in small claims court. They jumped me to hold me in the hospital and create a false record. That's because that's part of my persecution. And we're going to be out in about 20 seconds. But this document was also shown to City Councilman Rivera, where it says, "As per Stacy, patient has been mailing threatening letters to Judge Rodriguez." There are no threatening letters from me to
Good luck to you, and I hope your life certainly takes a better turn.
Criminal.
And like you're a very intelligent person, and maybe you could even look at law or paralegal law as another career, and hopefully have a healthier, better life. I would hope that for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We're off.
Okay. Jason, are you still there?
I'm still here, dear.
Okay, so I got enough out there, so it's going to be hard to kill me. Bill, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. There's even more evidence that I have that was put in the hands of City Councilman Rivera. And by the way, he has no plausible deniability. And I'm going to be talking about this at the City Council meeting on Tuesday.